This is my TTR110, and I've tried to set it up as a pit bike for me as an adult with the tall seat and the tall bars. I even did the big bore kit and some other upgrades, but for some reason the suspension just is not set up for a 250-pound adult. So today we're going to fix that. Now, I'll put links to what I've done down in the description below, but basically I've got the BBR Motorsports tall seat, I've got the Pro Taper SE tall bars, I did the big bore kit, so it's a 130cc, I've got the upgraded ECU, I've got the longer brake cable already. You know, I did a handful of things to try to set this up, but as a heavier adult, this is obviously sprung for a 10-year-old kid, not a 250-pound man. So, to make this a little bit more friendly for me as I rip through my woods, play as a little pit bike, and take it to tracks and everything to be able to run around, get around the tracks easily and park and, you know, normal pit bike stuff, we are going to upgrade the suspension. So, got a hold of the guys over at TBparts, ordered their kit. It is a 350-pound kit. Now, when it says 350 pounds, note that is not for the weight of the rider, that is the weight of the bike and the rider. So, if the bike is 150 and I'm 200, that's 350 pounds. That's what it's sprung for. So we're going to go ahead and replace the forks and replace the rear shock and kind of see how that changes everything when it comes to the handling of this bike for a full-size adult. Just a little bit of before action here so you can see this is not even my full weight, and it's dives all the way in the front. The rear, of course, you know, you set on the back and it just bottoms out. So let's go ahead and make these changes and see how it does after. Little future action here. Here's everything I use to do this job. 8mm Allen, 5mm Allen, a set of metric sockets. I think the smallest I went was 10 and the largest was 16. 14mm open-end wrench, that's just for the front axle, and then a pair of pliers to get off some cotter pins. That's it. So here's what came from TBparts. Got their shock kit, rear shock here, so got some adjustability both in preload and damping, spacer kit for that shock, and then new front forks. They send the complete fork kit so you don't have to deal with, you know, rebuilding anything. It's just literally a bolt-on replacement front fork. So let's go ahead and get it on a lift and tear it down. That's it. Pretty easy to get them off. New ones go on. Exactly the opposite of those coming off. Once you got them started, you just get your orientation about right. Get this rolling. So I'm just going to snug all this up and the front's done. Now I will say, I am not typically a torque spec guy. There are certain things I will look up the torque spec. For my entire life, growing up on a farm, all the stuff I've done, I'm an ooga dooga guy. And it served me well. I've had very, very few issues. So if you want to know the torque spec, you can look up the torque spec. But if you want to ask me, go off of my info, it's just the ooga dooga scale. To get to the rear shock, kind of got to take a few other things apart to get there a little easier. So we'll take these side panels off. Now we got a whole lot easier access down in here. Now these, let's see if I zoom in a little bit here, they really don't even use bolts. It's actually a cotter pin and a pin that slides through, and both front and rear, and they just pop out. So I'm going to grab a pair of pliers, we'll pull that pin out. There's the pin off the rear. And the pin off the front. Now, mine's a little muddy and everything, so a little dirty there. And then we'll pull the one out of the top. And out she comes. And again, exactly the opposite for the installation of this shock. However, instead of using these little pins, we're going to use the actual hardware that comes with the kit, which is bolts. It's kind of nice. And the correct spacers and a new washer. Now, because this piece here is significantly wider than the stock one, it won't fit in the bracket up here. So reverse the shock from kind of what you see there on the stock one, and we'll get it slid up in here. If you go from below, reach around underneath the frame, then you can get it slid up in there. Bolt through, easy. Put our washer and our nut on, and we'll go ahead and work on the rear bolt. Bolt, spacer, shock, and everything can be a hammer. Washer, nut. Get these tightened down and we're done with the rear shock. Well, pretty easy job overall. As you can see, it sits a little taller. Definitely need to extend the kickstand a little bit, so we'll have to address that. But I've not done any adjustments. Front forks definitely sprung better, not bottoming out super easy, so that should handle significantly better. And again, not done any suspension adjustments yet. This is just out of the box, and the rear feels significantly better as well. So I've got adjustment here for preload, so I can make further adjustments if I want to. I'm gonna have to take it off-road, do a little play session, and then see what do I need to adjust as far as any damping or preload or anything on the rear. Front's not adjustable, so there's nothing to change there, but it feels really good. So that's it. That's the installation of the TBparts upgraded suspension. Again, this is the 350-pound kit, and stay tuned. We'll have some off-road time here shortly. Thank you for joining me. As always, have a great day, ride safe, and roam more.